Okay, so good morning, everybody. This is George Aguilar. I am a retired teacher, professor of philosophy, having taught for more than 30 years in a major university in the Philippines and also in a seminary. So I teach philosophy, but I practice dharma. Um, Took me some time to around 40 years of practice. And in this series of podcasts, I would like to discuss some insights and reflections on Dharma with the hope of being able to help people, no, who are also on the path towards enlightenment, and mainly just to share some of my thoughts, no. So I dedicate this podcast to all sentient beings, to the universe at large. The title of this podcast is that wisdom is gentle. It's a recent realization that I've had. To give you a background, I have been in the academe for more than 30 years. I think I'm going 35 in this present university. Although I retired from full-time teaching in 2018, I went back in 2019 and has been have been teaching part-time in said university and also in the seminary. So my training really is in research, education. My specialty is philosophy, but I also teach anthropology and future studies, conflict studies, no? Part of my training as an academician. And as an academic, no, I've been trained to pursue knowledge aggressively. In fact, I would study, I would compare, I would analyze and reflect on certain ideas, no? Testing the ideas, no, for its validity. And my mistake sometimes is to use the same technique in aggressively pursuing knowledge na in my quest for realizations. And so I've been struggling with the idea of emptiness. I've been struggling with the idea of with the question of if there is no self, in the sense that the self is not permanent, it's not independent from any other thing, no, but is actually a composite of everything that it encounters, no, in this network of causes and conditions, no, that we call reality. Who is actually looking at the mind? Who is looking at the emotions? Because in my practice of meditation, I have experience looking at uh, ideas, images. Sometimes I visualize things. I also take note of my emotions, and even if I'm not meditating formally, that is sitting in a certain position, closing my eyes, and doing the breath technique or using a mantra, I would see my emotions, I would see ideas. And naturally, if someone is looking, or if these thoughts and feelings can be seen, then somebody must be looking. And that is basically a dualistic way of looking at perception. There's the object and there's the subject. So someone is experiencing the mind, someone is looking at the mind, and someone is looking at whatever it is that is looking at the mind. So these are some of my experiences now when I meditate. So in meditation, I tend to be mindful of what's happening in the mind. And I take note of ideas now, letting it come and go, but just observing these ideas as they appear from nowhere, no, inside the mind, seemingly nowhere. Ideas would come and go, and also emotions, or sometimes I would have memories. Sometimes I would find my mind being distracted with a thought, and upon seeing that, I would gently try to push my mind back. So I've been actually experiencing some stress, some uncertainties with regards to this because I cannot seem to undo the thinking that if there is a scene, if there is something perceived, ideas, thoughts, images, etc., there must be a seer. And I am led to think that the seer might be not just an individual self, no, but basically a larger self. Like I was theorizing, it might be the Buddha mind. It might be something even older than this this person that I use right now, no, as I engage with external realities. So I've been asking questions. I've been reading books. I read on Vasubandhu and Yogacara, trying to see if my hypothesis is correct, and that is there are many levels of the mind, and as the individual mind is dissolved, uh, the Buddha mind emerges. As I've said in the past podcast, that my belief is that when the ego is dissolved, the bodhisattva takes over. More on that, no, in future podcasts. But I have repeatedly stated that, no, in previous discussions. And I also read about Madhyamaka, no, Nagarjuna, of course, no. These two renowned teachers of Mahayana philosophy are basically founders, no, philosophical founders of the tradition that I'm involved with, no, which is basically Pure Land and Chan. So we acknowledge Vasubandhu and Nagarjuna as the intellectual source of many, many Mahayana, Pure Land and Chan theories. But I can't seem to reconcile. And I've also made a test of myself by asking the questions to so many teachers, no? And even to friends, no, fellow practitioners in the meditation group that I'm with. I would ask them if there is something that is seen, then there must be a seer. Or is it just that there's nothing? It's just that the seeing is just part of the reality that appears to us, no, inside the mind. And as you can see, no, there's really no way of answering that question. It's like a fly in the bottle trap. No, Wittgenstein's fly in the bottle. A fly enters into a bottle, and upon entering the bottle, it doesn't know its way out. So it's also like a koan, no? Like a goose enters a bottle, but then it grew bigger. So how can you get the goose out without destroying the bottle? So as you can see now, there's really no solution to that. Every time you try to think rationally, aggressively, using logic, reasoning, dialectics, trying to discuss with other people, uh, there's really no answer. The best answer that people could give me is that the one that sings the alaya mind. But the alaya mind's a storehouse. Storehouse, no? It's like where your memories come in, where your karmic causes and conditions, no, are stored to be to manifest, no, in the next life, no? So it doesn't actually answer my question because my question is really who is looking? I'm not asking if there's a mind that persists, no, after the death of the body. I already know that. I already know that there is something after death, no. I'm a Pure Land Buddhist after all. So thinking along that line, no, my question is also who enters the Pure Land? Now, the answer that people give me to that question, it's the alaya mind, no? It can be accepted. Okay, we just have to expand a little. or be flexible with our idea of what an alaya mind is. Not just a storehouse, but something else that continues to exist even in the afterlife. But as to the question, who is looking, it's really a trap because the moment you start thinking in a dualistic manner, there's no answer. There's no answer to that. And so I'm becoming more and more anxious uh, with regards to that. No? I've been spending a lot of tired waking hours now trying to reflect, reading on, trying to solve that problem, which really has no solution. If it is framed in the dualistic form, no? Or if I persist in thinking that if there's a sin, there must be a seer, and who's looking, who is looking, who is that, who's experiencing, looking at these thoughts and images and emotions now while meditating. Then I decided to drop it, seeing that my question is beginning to bother not just myself, but also other people. I just began to drop it now, saying that it is not important to know the answer. What's more important is that I continue to practice my dharma and to uphold the precepts, no? To do good, to think good, to act good, to speak well, okay? And to try to practice compassion in my day-to-day living. So right now, upon doing that, upon letting go of trying to know what the answer is to a question that really has no rational answer, I am beginning to realize that by letting go of the question, I will actually allow wisdom to come in. You see, I have fallen to the trap that my feeble mind and my individual effort can allow me, whoever that me is, to realize things, to attain some kind of enlightenment, fully forgetting the principle that we cannot attain enlightenment by ourselves now. But we need the guidance. We need the guidance and inspiration brought about by bodhisattvas. In the case of Buddhism, or devas in the case of the Vedanta. Take your pick. Okay, so having done that, I now realize the folly of this attempt, no, to realize certain things by aggressively uh, trying to find the answer to the question. I'm sorry. It's actually a very male thing, you know. Men are logical, men are rational, so they say. I'm not saying that women are irrational, but the the general notion is that men are, rational. And, I see this as a very male or very young principle, no? That when there is a mystery, we try to solve it. But upon realizing that there's really no answer, or the answer lies not in an aggressive clinging to the question, an aggressive pursuing the answer to the question, I realized that the Divine Mother, the Divine Mother's way is more appropriate, no? And by allowing wisdom to gently come about. And so I don't try to dwell on the question too much, but I try to practice more practical things, no? Like how to get on with people, how to keep my anger in check, how to serve other people, especially my students and my friends in the temple. And I'm sure, and even as I speak now, I think that the wisdom that is required to, if not answer, but to dissolve the question is slowly trickling in. And that is my realization for now. I am I was at fault. I was mistaken to think that answers to certain questions can be arrived at aggressively. So I will choose the way of the mother and try to arrive at wisdom. And perhaps no, the very wisdom that is appearing to me right now is that the problem is a pseudo problem. It's not really a problem. Okay. Whether there is a seer because there's a sin, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter really. It doesn't make me closer to people. It doesn't make me happier. It doesn't make me realize whatever it is that the universe is trying to teach me right now. And so, going back, the title is that wisdom is gentle. That is my realization for now. So, thank you very much for listening. I hope I will be able to do a podcast come the Chinese New Year, no? Which is only a few weeks away from now. Gosh, so how many tofu?